In a classic study at Stanford in 1979, researchers showed participants two made-up studies about capital punishment, with equally compelling evidence both for and against the death penalty. Now here's the twist. Regardless of which side participants were already on, they rated the study that matched their views as more credible and scientifically sound. Same data, different conclusions. Now that's confirmation bias. It's the brain's way of saying, I believe what I want to believe. Hey everyone, and welcome back to From Wall Street to Your Street. I'm your host, Ryan Flanders. If you've been keeping up with this series, you know we've explored all kinds of sneaky ways our brains mess with our money. Loss aversion, recency bias, herd mentality, anchoring, all of them can quietly influence your financial decisions. But this week's bias, it's the granddaddy of them all, confirmation bias, or as I like to call it, the echo chamber effect. Because that's exactly what happens. Confirmation bias traps us inside a mental bubble, where the only information that we let in is what we already believe, and everything else gets filtered out. A while back, I had a client. We'll call him Lucas. Lucas loved a certain tech company. He bought their products, read every glowing review, followed every bullish analyst, and joined the message boards where everyone agreed the stock was going to the moon. But anytime a neutral or a negative article came out, Lucas dismissed it, called it fake news, bad research, market manipulation. The problem wasn't his analysis. It was that he had stopped analyzing. He wasn't managing an investment any longer. He was defending a belief. And when that stock took a hit on weak earnings, Lucas was blindsided. Not because there weren't already warning signs, but because he had filtered them out. That's confirmation bias in real time. Confirmation bias is your brain's tendency to favor information that confirms what you already think and ignore anything that doesn't. It shows up in how we search for information, how we interpret it, and even how we go on to remember it. It's comforting, it's efficient, but it's also dangerous. Because when you see only one side of the story, you're not making a decision, you're reinforcing a belief. Let's take this out of the financial world for a second and talk my favorite, sports. There's a popular belief in basketball that when a player is on fire, they're hitting shot after shot. They are considered in the zone. We call it having a hot hand. Coaches ride it, fans expect it, and players believe in it. But in 1985, researchers Thomas Gilovich, Robert Vallone, and Amos Tversky published a study that tested this phenomenon. They analyzed thousands of shots taken by players and found, statistically, that hitting a few shots in a row didn't actually increase the odds of making your next one. The hot hand, according to their data, didn't even exist. So why do we believe it so strongly? Confirmation bias. When we see a player hit 3 shots in a row, we remember it. We expect the 4th one to fall. If it does, we confirm what we already believed. And if it doesn't, we forget it even happened. Later studies challenged some of their original findings, and in some contexts, the hot hand may actually exist. But the bigger point still stands. Our brains are constantly searching for patterns that confirm what we already think is true, especially when emotions are involved, whether it's rooting for our favorite team or riding a favorite stock. So how does confirmation bias mess with your investing? Well, let's talk through a couple examples. Research that backs you up. You Google, is XYZ stock a good buy? And click only on the articles that say yes. You scroll past anything that contradicts you. Boom, instant echo chamber. Advisor hopping. Some investors jump from advisor to advisor until they find one who agrees with their gut instinct. That's not doing your due diligence, that's just fishing for affirmation. Market outlooks. Think the market's about to crash? Well, you start following recession-minded economists. You read bearish articles. You interpret every dip as proof that you were right. Meanwhile, you ignore all the recovery data. Confirmation bias doesn't just distort your lens, it narrows it. Being right feels great. Our brains are wired to seek that validation. We're drawn to ideas, headlines, and experts that echo our beliefs because it creates cognitive ease. But in doing so, we blind ourselves to the critical signals, conflicting data, and potential risks. Confirmation bias is part of a bigger mental pattern called belief perseverance. It's the tendency to stick with a belief even after it's already been discredited. Peter Watson's experiments in the 1960s demonstrated this beautifully. He gave people sequences like 2, 4, 6 and asked them to guess the rule. Instead of testing disconfirming examples, they guessed more even numbers, seeking confirmation. The actual rule? Any increasing sequence. But people didn't look for that. We do the same thing in our portfolios. We stop testing our own ideas. We just keep looking for evidence that we're already right. So how do we break the cycle? 1, seek out opposition. If you're bullish on something, force yourself to read the bear case, not to argue it, but to understand it. 2, ask the hard questions. Would I buy this investment if I didn't already own it? What evidence would make me change my mind? Is this a fact, or is it just familiar? 3, get a thinking partner. This is where an advisor, or even just a smart, skeptical friend can help. Someone who isn't afraid to challenge your ideas. Confirmation bias hides in confidence. It whispers, "You've got this, you're right," and it feels great until it doesn't. The best investors aren't the ones who are always right. They're the ones who are willing to change their minds. So the next time you find yourself nodding a little too hard at something that confirms your view, pause and ask, am I seeing the full picture or just the one that I want to see? Because on Wall Street and on your street, the most dangerous voice isn't always the loudest. It's the one that's in your head. Next week, we're wrapping up this series with a full recap, the top behavioral traps that we've covered and how to recognize them before they creep into your strategy. Until then, stay curious, stay grounded, and remember, Wall Street moves fast, but your plan should move with purpose. Securities and advisory services offered through Commonwealth Financial Network, member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor. Fixed insurance products and services are separate from and not offered through Commonwealth. The Flanders Group is located at 221 Maitland Street, Bel Air, Maryland 21014. Phone number 410-569-4506. Investments are subject to risk, including the loss of principal. Some investments are not suitable for all investors, and there is no guarantee that any investing goal will be met. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Talk to your financial advisor before making any investing decisions. The client example presented in this podcast is for illustrative purposes only and should not be construed as a recommendation. It may not be representative of your experience.